Hello and welcome to Off the Shelf Reviews.
I won't lie, this movie ticked me off.
And I'm Gary, and today we're going to review and discuss Ticks, which was released in 1993 from executive producer Brian Usner, written by Brent V. Friedman and directed by Tony Randel. Ian, why don't you give us the synopsis for Ticks?
Well, the story follows a group of teens, including a young Seth Green, heading out into the woods for what appears to be a city child getaway program. Once they get out there, they become attacked by a group of mutated ticks that want to suck out all their blood.
Where the hell did you people come from?
So the original idea for this film came about in the 70s
Yeah.
by Doug Beswick. He was the special effects creator on this film.
Right.
But of course, 20 years later, then with a redrafted script,
Right.
we finally get Infested. Or that's what the film was actually released in theaters in America as, because the studio didn't think Ticks would sell very well. But then after its theatrical run as Infested, it got released back on VHS as Ticks. Again,
Yeah.
and has somewhat a small cult following behind it. Now, this is a film that I saw around the same time as Arachnophobia.
Right.
And both films, I would say, equally gave me a fear of arachnids in all capacities.
Yeah.
And this is a film that I've always remembered fondly. But it does appear that not everybody is quite a fan of this as I am.
No, like this film has got that made for TV feel. Like, I like how you brought up Arachnophobia, and if you compared the two of these, like, Arachnophobia is your high fucking profit making blockbuster summer movie, and Ticks is that film that you found in the basket at Blockbusters for £1.50 and thought, hey, it's got Seth Green in it.
But not only that, this film had a budget of just $1 million. This film had really next to no budget.
And
what they managed to achieve with such a low budget in this film truly amazed me, and still does to this day. But I don't want to jump into all of the special effects because we've got to wait an hour.
Yeah. let's just put that out there right now. One of the saving graces for this film is its special effects. And you've probably sat there watching this film review thinking, Jesus Christ, guys, why do you keep watching these low budget, like, insect movies that suck? And it's like...
Ticks aren't insects.
Well, okay. Well, what are they?
Arachnids.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. Small, creepy crawly movies,
yes,
you know?
Yeah.
And it's because, like, if you watch, like, it kind of goes up and down, and the plot for this movie is really weak. That's the main thing about it.
It for me, it literally follows the Friday the 13th formula of taking a bunch of kids to a lakeside, cabin.
Yeah, I suppose. And we've got a young Seth Green playing Tyler Burns. His dad has literally just dropped him off in the middle of the city and has gone, look, Tyler, you're suffering all these anxiety problems because you're a teen. And I think you need to go off with these guys and kind of find yourself. You'll find out later on that it's actually all the dad's fault.
Yeah, he's an alcoholic who left his son in the woods and where he got lost for more than 2 days.
Right.
So he's developed this anxiety and fear of being alone.
But the flashback would tell us that, like, Tyler was, 8 when this happened?
Sure.
And Seth Green's like, I don't know, 30 at this point? You think he would have gotten over it. But I've completely jumped past the huge opening of the movie that will tell us absolutely everything and will keep us all on track. And that's basically watching the camera go round a weed factory.
Yeah.
And setting up the fact that one of the machines used to, like, filter water towards the marijuana plants has got something in it, and it's dripping onto what appears to be an egg, a tick egg. Like, ticks lay eggs, that's what arachnids do?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I don't know science, so...
Oh. Well, it turns out that they're actually using steroids to enhance the weed.
No, steroids again, Gary!
It's the 90s, man. We got to say, steroids bad.
Steroids bad.
Look what it's doing to all of these insects and wildlife and arachnids. And so, yeah, we see it dripping onto this egg, and, about 10 minutes later, we'll come back to this egg and see that it's grown.
It's such a bullshit opening, because that's your opening,
Yeah.
and then it cuts to Seth Green, and you establish the teens. Then it'll cut back to these eggs, and you're like, why did they do it like that?
Well, it's foreshadowing, of course, where the film's going, where these kids are, the kids are on the way to these eggs, But we're also following Clint Howard, who's drinking his tea. He puts the milk in there.
Oh, it's so bad, isn't it? That's the worst thing probably
it's
about
such
this
a crime.
movie is watching him make that fucking cup of tea.
Oh yeah, but I mean, he's still just great though. Like he has screen presence, and just watching him bungling around and hearing things go wrong.
Doesn't his dad play the sheriff?
Yes,
Like,
yeah.
because I looked up when I was looking at the actors in the movie. I mean, we've also got Barry Lynch playing Sir.
Yeah.
That's it. That's his name is Sir.
His name is Sir. I recognise the actor though straight away from Star Trek Borg, the interactive PC video game. He was also in an episode of TNG, but I don't know I've forgotten which one it was.
Man, at this stage, I think everybody's been in an episode of TNG.
Almost, yeah.
At least. But the teens all grouped together. I mean, we get coming off the streets of Bel Air himself, walking down after his father has decided he needs to spend some community time with the locals. We have Alfonso Ribeiro playing Daryl, or Panic. I mean, Carlton is in this movie. I think that should tell us everything where this film is going.
See, they call me Panic because I never do. How about you? You're not gonna kill me. Maybe I won't. Or maybe I'll just have my dog rip your leg off.
Colton, the gangster.
Colton, the gangster.
And he bullies Seth Green. He's like, yeah,
He
you need to
does.
shoot these baskets or I'm going to stick you with this knife.
He just bullies him right off the offset.
Yeah.
And Seth Green kind of stands up to him, not taking any shit, which is really confusing because I'm like, look, are you a weedy character or can you hold your own?
Yeah.
And then we have Charles and Holly turn up, Peter Scolari and Rosalind Allen, who played like the teen group leaders. And they've got all these other teens with them as well. We've got Charles's daughter, I think it's Melissa. And we've also got an Asian actress there as well, Kelly, who's a bit quiet. It turns out that like she was raped. That's her backstory at one point. It's kind of shocking. We've also got Rome and Dee Dee. Like Dee Dee's like a rich,
Spoiled kid. Yeah.
kid. And Rome is her boyfriend. And like the two of them are on a sex rampage across America. Like Gary said, it's like a misfit of teens you'd see in Friday the 13th, all thrown in a van, and you know where they're going. They're heading out to the woods to kind of get killed. But the film's continuity is completely all off because we've had Clint Howard show us that he's found these eggs, the steroids, doesn't he? And he gets injured.
Yeah, he steps into his bear trap.
Oh yeah. He's setting a bear trap indoors.
Yeah, I don't know why.
I'm assuming
It's to protect the premises of the weed
of
farm.
the weed farm, because there's this whole big thing in this countryside about like people finding weed. But he steps into his own trap because we see like the
Ticks
ticks
scurrying
start scurrying around.
Yeah.
And he falls on the floor, and the tick eggs fall from the ceiling onto his face. We then cut back to the teens as they're driving out to the woods, and they stop somewhere, don't they? But we start to notice eggs
In
kind
the
of
trees.
in the background.
Yeah. They're just everywhere.
It's like, how long have these things been kind of steroid mutating for?
Yeah, a day. Look, ticks are very active, okay?
Right, okay, yeah.
They are in this movie anyway.
Yeah.
Otherwise we wouldn't have a movie. But yeah, I do think it's pretty cool though, just seeing those eggs everywhere. I don't know what it was, the sound, like when you see all those pods everywhere.
Yeah.
I immediately was getting Invasion of the Body Snatchers vibes.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was an audio cue in there somewhere.
There's something kind of weird, like squeaking, kind of. It's like the tick itself is making a noise to pre-warn you, so that when you hear it, it's around.
So yeah, what we do get now is it is a bunch of character stuff where the characters they're trying to bond. You know, the two adults are just like, wow, these kids aren't bonding at all, and I blame him.
I do
because
as well.
he's there to try and help these kids deal with their issues or their
Yeah,
problems or
yeah.
their mental blocks or anything of that type. And he's just like, you know what? Screw the kids. I'm just going to go and bang my girlfriend.
He does.
And the kids are out there and they start a fire that could, like, they just pour propane on it.
It's such a shit like moment where it's just like, let's make a fire. Okay, I've got the fuel, and he just lobs the fuel on it, burns out, and panics there. He doesn't panic. He's told you he's not going to panic. So I reckon he's got control of everything. But it blows the bedroom window out. And Charles is like, oh, goddamn kids, I'm going to go out there and give up. It's peace about man. I'm like, dude, seriously, you've taken all these troubled teens from the city out to the woods and left them alone so you can go off and fuck? And Melissa's just like, well, Melissa's just constantly just giving dad shit. We've said this before, and obviously if you've seen like Venom and if you've seen Leeches as well, this one suffers from kind of the same problem. The director is not giving them enough direction. The actors are doing what they can with what they've got, but they haven't got a lot to go with. The focus is, oh, the ticks have to turn up. And they are literally not turning up. Because we cut back to Clint Howard, and he's eaten some, or they've climbed inside.
Well, he's got ticks in his body. You see them climbing up his torso.
Yeah.
He grabs a revolver and he starts shooting at the ticks in his leg. I'm just like, I mean, I can imagine how awfully painful these ticks climbing around inside your body must feel.
Yeah.
But to start shooting them, that's not going to help.
Well, this is the thing.
Still.
Like, I think, especially with a lot of the tick sequences were filmed, especially with the special effects and the gore, but then once they were put into the film, they were like, this doesn't work, we've got to edit it around. So Clint Howard's death takes like 40 fucking minutes. Like, every time you think he's dead, it cuts back to him and he's still fucking alive. Well, he's got ticks inside him. Yeah. He's shooting himself with a gun. We'll be back.
Yeah, well, he's still going. I mean, he can't kill him that easy. I mean, he dies easy in most other things.
Yeah.
Now, interestingly, the Clint Howard stuff wasn't in the original script. Not in...
Infestation.
In Doug Beswick's original 70s script.
Oh,
that was kind of added later.
Yeah.
And so all of his scenes were filmed in like a day. And so, because obviously he doesn't interact that much at all with any of the other
no, he doesn't.
actors or characters in the film. But there is some other good, like, squeamishly disgusting, skin-crawly tick stuff building up to it.
Okay, right.
Like when they go into into their cabins and they open the wardrobe door.
Yeah.
And there's the big egg in there which he pokes with the coat hanger.
Yeah, like he just starts poking it and
it all just slimes out.
What is it? Oh, it looks like lunch. I'm like, burn the house down.
Right. But then there's the scene where Tyler and Holly are outside, and you know she's leaning further and further back against this tree. We're seeing this egg right there, and we're just like, this is as an audience, I'm like, this is freaking disgusting. Seth turns to her and goes, "Oh, there's something on your back." And I'm like, Jesus Christ, that's more than something.
Something. He's poking it with the stick, and she's getting more freaked out. And then the tick grabs the stick and runs off.
Yeah. Like, wow. It wants to play catch.
I think this is where I started to properly look at the special effects of the ticks, and I'm like, wow, those are actually pretty good. You know, we're obviously we're not talking CGI.
Yeah.
You know, we're talking practical prosthetic tick effects that kind of move and scutter.
They did it really effectively, and it's really cheap how they did it. It's basically the body, it's just a puppet, and all of the legs are made of springs.
Oh.
And they're pulling it along on monofilament or fishing wire. So when it's being pulled along, the legs kind of spring bounce. So it's really effective.
I come off the back of Leeches from 2003 and saw the special effects like fucking 10 years before, and they were better. Yeah. It was great. But it's just everything else. Like I said, you know, Tyler... Seth Green and Melissa get back to Charles, and they start telling him about these horrible things in the woods, and Charles is like, no, don't worry about it.
City kids afraid of the wilderness.
Yeah, and even Seth Green breaks the fourth wall and goes, oh, well, you know, like typical adults not listening to the kids. And I'm like, you're going to die. And then Sir and his buddy Jerry, they turn up, and they've already had a bit of an interaction with the kids. You know, Jerry's kind of come on to Melissa weirdly
in the store here.
Yeah, and then Sir's here to establish that you really shouldn't wander too much round because there's dangerous folk around. Basically, he's one of the guys growing marijuana, and he doesn't want anybody messing with his operation because he'll kill them. And they've even interacted with the sheriff at one point, but the sheriff kind of disappears, and then will turn up dead.
Beware the cash croppers.
Cash croppers.
Dope growers.
What kind of dope?
Marijuana.
And you get the sequence where like Daryl and Tyler, like Daryl comes out and sees Tyler, and he's just like, hey, what are you doing? And Tyler's just like, I'm just having a little moment. Whenever I get a bad feeling, I have like these kind of weird moments, so I'm just kind of chill out. And Daryl's just like, hey, you should be like me and my dog. Me and my dog are like super brave. And we keep cutting back to the dog, and the dog's about to get killed by a tick.
Right, well, it's seeing like things just shimmer or move.
Yeah,
in
the
grass.
first person POV as well.
And we hear it barking, and then we hear it whimpering.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh man, the film's gonna kill a dog.
Well, it can't kill anybody else.
Well, it can.
It can, but it fucking won't. Seriously, like we just literally killed the dog. Like we haven't even killed Clint Howard yet. The dog's dead.
Yeah. Yeah, and the dog, we see it convulsing and shaking, and
Yeah.
It breaks my heart when I see Panic walking with Brutus in his arms back, and I was like, it's horrible. I know.
That just shows how good, Alfonso was as an actor.
Yeah, he really sold that.
Typecast as Carl, say what you would, but at least with this film, at the time where Fresh Prince was on, he's trying to branch out, and so this bit, he's trying to be all emotional. But then it's made worse, because we see him all upset with the dog. And then 2 seconds later, he's inside and he's grabbing Tyler and he's throwing him up against the wall and he's really aggressive and he's just like, I was supposed to die in the streets of LA. Not my dog, man. Not my dog. And I'm like, oh, okay, now you're overacting, Alfonso. And he decides, oh, fuck it. I'm just going to get my stuff and I'm going to leave.
Yeah.
And you're like, what? So Charles and Tyler take the dog to a local vet to get it checked out. I mean, that's when they see the sheriff and the sheriff's just like, look, take him to the vet. And Holly decides, hey, I have no idea what any of the local areas are like, so I'm going to tell Melissa and Kelly to go fishing. And I'm going to tell Dee Dee and Rome to go off as well. And so we now see the kids kind of wandering off. We see, Kelly and Melissa go fishing at this fishing hole, and they find the sheriff's body.
Yeah.
And we follow Rome and his girlfriend going off to try to find a shagging spot. And she
ends up running off.
Well, they stumble into the barn, don't they?
Yes.
They stumble into the barn, going inside, and the girl, Dee Dee, stumbles across Clint Howard's body, who's still alive!
He's infested!
Oh, that's why he
Yes.
says that. Oh,
Yeah.
because of the tagline. I get it now.
Help me! I can't see a thing again! I'm infested!
Yeah.
And he goes to shoot himself because his face explodes and a tick bites her.
Yeah.
And he goes to shoot himself, but he dies. Finally. And we're cutting back to Charles and Tyler, who are at the vets with the dog, and they've driven past Panic, who's realised that
he's
sneaking
hiding.
out,
Yeah.
well, hiding.
Well, he's in the rocks.
he's realised that hiding out in the woods at night is going to give him pneumonia.
Yeah.
So he still doesn't decide to go home. But they come across the tick. The vet is constantly pulling that tick out of the belly.
It's great. She's got the needle. She's trying to pull a plasma sample out, and every time she pulls the needle out, it gets sucked back in again. It's such a funny little moment.
Hey. What's going on here?
But yeah, eventually she does end up yanking out this giant, ugly, slimy tick.
Yeah.
But then it is, for me, it is a funny moment again where it springs to life, lands on the floor, and scutters off with a syringe still in its back, just like the tick with the stick.
Yeah.
And so then, yeah, they're blocking the doors so it can't escape, and we see this tick scuttering along the sides.
Yeah.
Like you're looking one way and it scutters when you're not looking.
Not bad special effects, really.
But yeah, like the squish. I mean, it's this when the doctor steps on it and the back end of it explodes out of its ass. It's just like, it's gross.
It's super gross.
But then in the next shot, when they're dissecting it, it's all the innards are back inside of it again. I was like, oh, okay. But yeah, we get that glorious, disgusting inspection of its organs. She's like, no, this is a common wood tick.
Yeah.
But it's big.
It's big. And she actually comes across the thought process that when it bites you, it kind of fills you with LSD.
Yeah.
So you hallucinate while it's sucking the blood off
So
of
you
you.
wouldn't
or
notice
whatever.
it normally,
So you wouldn't
yeah.
notice it. And, you know, like I said, we've had Dee Dee who's gotten bitten and she's starting to freak out.
Hallucinate,
So
yeah.
Rome just picked up her body and he's trying to get her back to their house. Melissa and Kelly have come across the sheriff's body and they've realised that obviously the sheriff's been killed by somebody because he's come across the marijuana or whatever. And I wonder who that is.
Well, then Darrow comes across Sir.
Yeah.
And he's basically...
Well, no, he's been bitten by a tick, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has been, yeah. So
gets
he's
bitten by a
hallucinating
tick,
as
so
well.
He's hallucinating that he's back in the fucking ghetto and
Yeah.
he's getting attacked by Sir and fucking Jerry.
Yeah. And he ends up making a run for it, but he ends up getting shot in the back. But at the same time, Sir also misses and hits the propane tanks in the background, which starts a huge forest fire.
It sets the whole weed farm on fire.
Yeah, I'm just watching all the steroids and weed burn.
Oh my god, that was so sad.
And but I mean, it's an awesome miniature watching the forest burn and all the ticks scuttering
Yeah,
around
it
in
is.
front.
That
So
is
that's a
pretty
really
cool.
great shot.
Yeah, because obviously we've been told so many times by Seth Green as well that one of the major weaknesses for ticks is fire.
Yeah.
They pop.
Oh, but also never pop a tick that's also currently embedded in anything. That's even more dangerous.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
got to remove them safely first. But yeah,
Yeah.
when he burns that first one, you got that little spray of red mist over their faces. I was like, ooh. But then yeah, when these ticks pop, they pop.
They pop. So everybody's headed back to the main cabin, and they're starting to fill Holly and Charles in with the information. Like, look, you know, the mutant ticks are out there. The sheriff is being killed. Dee Dee is being poisoned. They're held in by this giant fire. Jerry and Sir turn up, and they're being chased by these ticks. And so now it's kind of turned into a bit of a tiny budget siege movie. And then Carlton turns up doing the dance he does from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. No, he doesn't. He's dying. He's literally fucking dying. And he turns up and he lies on the floor, and they've realised that he's been bit and he's been poisoned and he's got ticks all inside his body. And with his final breath, he kind of reveals that he was shot by Sir and Jerry. And so they've got a shotgun. They've hidden the shotgun on them, haven't they? And they decided they're going to take everybody hostage to get and they need to get the car. So,
Yeah.
Jerry, you're going to have to go and out and get the car.
I ain't going. I ain't going
I
out
ain't
there.
going now, sir. I ain't going.
So after much flapping around, the dad is also shot at this point
Oh,
because
yeah.
everyone decides to be stupid, according
Yeah.
to Sir anyway.
Yeah.
And so Jerry is eventually given the keys and sent out to the van, and you know he holds his own. He's
He does.
burning and popping ticks everywhere.
Yeah.
He gets into the car and for some reason don't wind the windows up. But anyway, it doesn't matter. The tick's already in there, and one bites him right on the back
Right
of
on
the
the back
neck.
of the neck, that's
and so
right.
as he's driving the van back. Sir is out front shooting the gun at him, but he doesn't see Sir. He sees the dead cop.
He does, that's
And so he
right.
ends up just riding the van right into the front of the cabin. The cabin explodes inwards, and then all of the ticks enter the cabin.
Yeah, flood in.
And yeah, there's ticks everywhere. They're trying to brush the ticks into the fireplace. It's
set
a
fire.
manic moment. There's ticks everywhere.
They get that wooden broom, don't they? It's like
Yeah.
a really old-fashioned wooden broom and just light the end.
The end, yeah.
I'm like, the whole thing should have just gone, you know. But they hide out in another room, and while they're hiding out in another room, Sir is stuck in the front room after kind of being hit by the car, and we watch. And this is what I mean by the special effects of this movie is far superior than the other fucking movies we've seen. Is we watch Carlton's body, Alfonso's body, just kind of
Gyrating at first.
yeah.
And then, yeah, we see these protrusions coming out of his kneecaps,
Yeah.
out of his hand joints, before we watch his face tear in two
Like-
as a giant steroid-fueled tick climbs out of his body.
Like it was in him. Like
It was growing
him?
inside him.
Like,
No, it was still him, but it was growing
Was,
inside him
like,
at an accelerated rate.
Is this going to happen to everybody?
No, it was because when he had been bitten by ticks or had ticks in him already,
Right.
he pulled out the bag, didn't he? And he took more steroids while he was dying.
Oh yeah.
So that's why it's a double dosed steroid fueled angry tick.
What the
Who
fuck?
then goes and eats Sir.
Yeah.
Well, I say eats him. It kind of climbs on top of him.
And kind of snuggles his neck for a
Yeah,
moment.
yeah.
But then it tries to break through the door as well to get to all the teens and Charles and Holly who are inside the bedroom. They all start jumping out of the house to get down to the car. Tyler reverses the truck back, and he even saves Rome, doesn't he? With
because Rome gets caught by the giant tick.
With the burning broom, he kind of forces him back.
It's a bit of a weird cut here where, he's in there and he jams the thing in the tick's mouth and then he jumps on top of the van to escape, and then in the very next shot, obviously, he's driving the van and taking off. And I was like, well, that all happened very quickly, but it's understandable. You don't need to see it all, but it just felt like an odd cut there.
I was very surprised with the house exploding.
It's a great miniature. Yeah, just the miniature effects.
When the film started, I did not expect it to end with that kind of exploding house effect.
But it's just like every other. Like it reminds me of Critters.
Yeah.
I don't know. Any of these horror films that has a creature like this, it always ends the same way.
Yeah.
And we see the van. It's now left in the.
It's like a town city dump.
Yeah, they've left the car in the dump. And we've panned underneath the car and we watch this egg drop down.
Yeah.
It's like, oh.
Oh.
Now, apparently they probably did want to do sequels. Ticks in the City.
I'm Ticks in the City. How great.
But yeah, it's never happened.
Ticks 2, Ticks in the City. Oh, man.
Well, Ian, do you have any favourite scenes from Ticks?
I did. I had a couple. I mean, like, I love the effects of the ticks when you actually got to see them on screen with them scuttling around. It looks corny, it looks silly, but that's what I was expecting when I was walking into a movie called Ticks. The padding of all the story and the characters, it is what it is. You just want to see the special effects. I really did like Alfonso's body mutation at the end. That was pretty damn good. Like I said, when his dog died, that was a bit sad. Good acting from them, but that's really about it. Nothing huge standing out.
Oh, I don't know. I just have a bit of a soft spot, I think, for Brian Yuzna movies.
Yeah, right,
I just always have. Like, his brand, like, even if he's not directing, but like when he's involved, there's usually going to be slimy, sticky, horrible creature monsters,
true, yeah.
And it always brings a smile to my face. So yeah, there's so many moments in the film that I really like, but because this is one of my childhood favorite horror movies, like the whole film is kind of a favorite scene. Even the bad stuff I kind of enjoy with this one. But yeah, all the Clint Howard stuff, I really love that. The nest, the POV into the hole. The twitching legs in the pod, like, reminds me of the facehugger from Alien.
Yeah.
The scene at the doctor's with the vet watching the needle get pulled in and out.
Yeah.
Looking at the tick anatomy, watching the tick run with a needle in its back. The giant tick, and of course, Daryl's transformation or death.
Yeah.
And of course, Clint Howard's "I'm infested."
I'm invested.
Great. Ian, do you recommend Ticks?
No, I do not. But I'm not going to dwell on it too much because obviously, I
Don't hurt my feelings.
I don't want to upset too many people. We've done quite a few of these creepy, crawly, silly movies, and they're not great, but they are fun, and It's strange because this is kind of what I was saying about Venom when we were talking about Venom, about how bad Venom is. Like, somebody somewhere would really, really enjoy it. And it's the same with Ticks. It's bad, but somebody somewhere really enjoys it. This has got some cool special effects in it, but it's too late in the movie. It's got some alright acting from some C-D-list celebrities who would later become B's and A's, but they're not there. The script writing's bad. And the locations are pretty bad.
I just want to say the script. Obviously, we had Doug Beswick do the original
script.
Yeah. The script writer is the guy that would go on to write Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
Yes.
Just to let you know.
He just threw continuity out the window. He didn't care about it. If you see it and it's on and you've got nothing to do, then watch it. But yeah, don't. Rush, yourself.
Well, I'm definitely recommending Ticks. What an awesome creature feature this is, and it's aging really well in my opinion. I've always championed this monster movie from effects to characters. This is really memorable, and I think it's incredible what they achieved on such a small budget. Doug Beswick and the KMB effects did a phenomenal job creating the hungry, blood-sucking ticks, and by making our skin crawl as they leap and scurry around. The miniature effects, the puppets, the stop motion and giant tick effects are disgustingly impressive and all practical. It was fantastic. The music is suitably creepy and effective. The actors were fine in their roles, with Seth Green being the obvious standout, along with Alfonso Ribeiro. The cinematography, it was nothing too special, but there are some great shots of the ticks in all the gory details. I highly recommend Ticks, I do. It's often overlooked and forgotten, or even disregarded, and I think it should have a cult status, or at least be seen by horror fans that maybe dismissed it on its title. Give this a watch. Something hungry is about to hatch.
Would you say it ticks all the boxes?
Yes! Thanks for watching Off the Shelf Reviews.